Dang. Okay, it's online.
There we go. Hi, Bartello. I read the right book this time.
Hi, Bartello.
And I put post-it notes in. You see
last
these?
time.
You see these? Yes, she did. I told her.
Yes, she did.
I put post-it notes in it. There are post-it notes. Just so you know, I did actually read this book.
Okay.
Anywho, this is the Socratic discussion for Great Gatsby, chapter 4 through 6.
It better be 4.
4 through 6 on today's date is February 15th, 2018.
Yeah, the day after
so do you guys want to start off with Bartello's question?
Sure.
Yes.
All right, I'm doing it because that way Miniko can't steal my opinion. All right, so I thought, and Nathan and I talked about this previously, but I thought that what that meant was that once he kissed, oh my good lord. Okay, I promise I read this stupid
Daisy?
book. Yes.
Come on, guys.
Okay, once he kissed Daisy, like, he would never be able to look at another woman. Like, he would be so, like, obsessed with her that he could never look at someone else. Like, he could never appreciate another woman's beauty. Like, she was it for him. And so, like, that kind of, like, defined the following, like, 5.5 years, whatever it was, since that moment after he left for war and came back and she'd married Tom.
I actually took the literal meaning of it. Like, I thought he was just, after he kissed Daisy, his mind just kept on, like, wandering about all these possibilities. Like, he literally was, his mind became endless of these possibilities, but he lost track of reality. That's why I thought the line, his mind was like the mind of God, I think it was, right? That's the line?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Where he was just, like, free to do whatever he wants, free to be whoever he wants, but no matter what, Daisy will love him no matter what happens, no matter how the circumstances change. I took it as that.
I actually took it like kind of both of the ways that you guys had it, if that's even possible. My interpretation of it was basically that, I'm trying to think how to say this. Like, he was going to be obsessive and everything like that. Like, I kind of fall a little bit more with Titus, as in, like, he seemed to be more obsessive and everything like that. But I also feel like not only his mind, like, became godlike, but so did his whole being, because just him being this rich and extravagant person just almost made him seem godlike to people, to the point where people had to make up rumors about him because no one truly knows who Gatsby is.
Speaking of revealing Gatsby, that actually brings up a topic I wanted to talk about today, was the fact that I noticed that during the daytime, Gatsby seems to reveal himself more to Nick exclusively, but during the night, like, no one really knows who he is. Or, yeah, because during the day when he was in New York, he seemed to be able to, he told Nick his entire life story. Though it might have been a lie, he still opened up to Nick more than anyone else in a while. And then at night, it's just like, he doesn't open up to everyone. He doesn't open up to anyone. He's closed off, reserved. He doesn't let people know how he truly feels. He tries to have this sort of face for the public to view. And it's, that's all I really have.
Okay, so I kind of think that, like, I very much agree with you. Obviously, no, get out here. All right, so I think I very much agree with you. Gatsby is very much a lying scumbag in the daytime and reveals himself to everyone. But I also, what was I about to say? Oh my god. Okay, I think that he, like, oh dear lord.
Can I save you? Because
just talk before, so I can remember what I was about to say.
Anyway, so I feel like if I was the old literary rule, what is hidden in the dark comes to light. So he might hide all of his persona in the dark during the nighttime and everything like that, but it comes to light maybe only to Nick in that case, and even though it was a lie, it still comes to light to him in the daytime. And you can see that, like, during the more gray areas and stuff like that, you see a reveal of his personality, but there's also, like, still somewhat of a hidden thing, like when Daisy, Gatsby, and Nick had all interacted when when Daisy was invited over in the later chapters. You could see that it was a rainy day, so, like, that's kind of like a gray area. It's not nighttime, it's not daytime. It's like a weird, like, in between kind of weather stage where it's like Do you get what I'm saying? I'm probably confusing everyone.
Yeah, I
I'm not
I
sure.
remember what I was trying to say, and I actually just wrote it down so I can't forget it. All right. So, I agree with Nathan. Like, there's like he reveals himself at night, but I think it's like he puts on a fake face at 2 different times. You know what I mean? Like, I think he lies during day to Nick, but then he lies to everyone at his parties during the night to everyone at his parties, and so he kind of just like is like a double-faced, but like a triple-faced because he's lying twice, and then only not really telling the truth to anyone yet. Of course, he does later, but it's fine. So he lies twice, but he puts on a fake face for everyone in his life. So, yeah, okay. So who wants else?
Well,
I actually have a question about that. Do you guys think Daisy is dangerous because she's the only one who can actually she's the only one who knows Gatsby's like true nature?
I think she's dangerous for Gatsby, but I think she'll probably be beneficial for the rest of the people in the book, just because they will let them know what he's actually like. Maybe. I don't know. I haven't read this book in a long time.
I feel like she's going to be, like how Titus said, like beneficial to everyone else, but detrimental to him in a certain sense because, like the quote that Bartello had put there, it seemed that he got so obsessive after that time to the point where all he thought about was her. Like, for example, he moved his house to be right by her. Like, I'm sorry if anyone does that. That's kind of creepy. Just
what? That's not stalkerish at all.
Yes, it is.
What are you talking about?
Cool. But I just feel like that just stalkerish a little bit.
Okay. All right.
So, does anyone else want to bring up a topic?
Yeah. Sure.
Trying to get my I was actually gonna go off on that. Basically, the interactions between them. His actions towards Daisy, would you consider Gatsby to be a romantic, or would you consider him to be obsessive?
He's
super obsessive.
Obsessive, yes.
Yeah, I call him like he would be a man-ho if he wasn't so obsessed with oh my good lord, Daisy. Okay, there we go.
Like, take it from us, the 2 dudes. You don't go 5 years.
Yeah.
Honing on one girl.
Yeah.
Throwing extravagant parties, getting involved with crime, and moving your house, like you said, right across the bay. Like, you don't do that unless you're extremely obsessed. And I think that's like the main problem with Gatsby is that he doesn't know how to let go.
Yeah. I think he's so obsessed.
Like different people could interpret that as like extreme dedication to the point where it might be considered obsessive. Like it could just like I'm not saying this is right. I agree with you guys, but I'm saying like from another point of view, you could deem it as like romantic or dedication somewhat because he's trying to hold on to something in the past that made him happy because it seems like nobody knows him now and that's the one person that knows him. He might be trying to hold on to his own identity in that kind of case.
Yeah, I kind of think like he is so obsessive that he's trying to be romantic. Like he's so ingrained in like her and wants to be with her that he tries to be romantic as much as possible.
To tie on with like the entire thing with Gatsby's past, I would like to sort of go more in depth with that because I think the fact that he's trying to relive the past, like on page 110, it actually says like the last page of chapter 3, the first line is I wouldn't ask too much of her. I ventured, you can't repeat the past. Can't you repeat the past? He cried. I feel like that has something to do with the fact that he went to war. Like, I feel like Gatsby's trying to recreate the past because he's trying to be happy. He's trying to go back to a point in time when he's happy and then start his life over again when he doesn't understand that even though he went to war, Daisy's life went on after that.
Okay.
Why do I feel like this is like a somewhat parallel of Tale of Two Cities with this too? I feel like Daisy is, I can't remember her name in Tale of Two Cities. Someone help me.
No.
Not Marinette. Not
Maria
Louis,
Antoinette. Isn't that a person in Tale of Two Cities?
Yes, Marinette.
They mention her in this book.
Lucy.
I'm
Yeah,
not even.
Lucy. That's it.
Yeah. No, like they flat out say her
I
name.
feel like Daisy is a parallel of Lucy in that case, where she's like kind of detrimental to the person that she loves, and the person that loves her back in that case, but she's somewhat of a light to everyone else in the book.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Just
All right.
saying.
So on page 91, like the very top, they actually talk about Marie Antoinette's music rooms and restoration salons. Like it's actually in the book. Like they literally talk about her in the book.
Page 93?
91.
91?
91. Like they flat out talk about Marie Antoinette. Like it's in the book. Look at me, Bartello. I read the book.
Yeah, but Marie Antoinette was just a queen who got decapitated during the French Revolution.
Close enough.
That's not
it is close enough.
No, it's not. Right? It's not close enough at all.
It's close enough. I'm going with
Lord. It. No, don't.
All right. I would also like to talk about how Nick's fascination with New York and just with the famous life, like the rich life as the 20s, because it's the Roaring 20s. I think this is supposed to be Fitzgerald's commentary on how we perceive the 20s. Like how we perceive the 20s in history, because one scene in particular, I forget what page it was on, but when Nick and Gatsby were riding across New York, Fitzgerald made a point to describe another car that they passed who had 3 African Americans in the front with a white driver, which did not happen at all during the time. Which it sort of emphasizes that fact that Nick is living sort of like a fantasy version of New York that we are led to believe that was like big and progressive, when in reality it was still pretty racist during that time.
But what was the question? I don't even know.
My question is what you guys think of it. Like, do you think Nick is fascinated by New York, or perhaps is it just something that I'm reading too much into?
No, I
think he's fascinated with it. But I don't know how much meaning there is behind that, other than it's a big city. And that's kind of a big deal.
But I think he goes more in depth about that, because when he's at the party, he describes it in such a grand and glorious manner. He describes people being drunk off their asses. Oh, sorry. Drunk off their butts. Drunk off their butts. The entire party, he describes it in such a grand way. Like he sort of like glorifies it, when in reality, they're just a bunch of rich, drunk people having fun, doing irresponsible things. While, mind you, there's still the land of Ash, like not even that far away, like a mile or two down the road.
So here's what I say to that. Basically, him describing the glitz and glamour of all that is, I feel like, Fitzgerald's way of criticizing his own society around that time, of how they focused more on the materialistic aspect of the human race rather than the content of their character, which leads to people that weren't morally right during that time. So that leads to like specific parts in the book where you see that things are kind of off, like you had said, where like he described that one car that was by them. That might have been an inkling to say like things aren't as they seem in the 1920s, which gets into like even the characters, like they're not how you think they would be in that kind of case, well, morally or otherwise. I might have just read into it even more than you did.
I don't know. I didn't see any of this. You have all blown over me on this one.
I mean, we usually do.
Yeah, you usually do, but I also usually don't read it. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to talk about something now, because I really like this quote, and I thought it was really cool. And it's on page 93. And if I find it real quick, because I have.
I'm going to cry.
Is it all about
the clock?
No, it's about his count of enchanted objects had diminished by 1, because I really like that quote. Okay, so 93, it's like the first paragraph. I could read it to you, but it's all about how like the Green Lantern, like now that like he's seen Daisy again, like the Green Lantern is no longer important because he has Daisy. At least Nathan just gave me a face of I'm wrong or I'm right, and I can't tell.
No, you're right. I did not see that.
I feel like you are wrong.
Bitch, I'll fight.
Excuse me?
So yeah, but, okay, wait, real quick, let me just finish because I'm really confused how you see that any other way. Because I don't even see any other way. But like, I saw that as like, he's seen Daisy, whose name I keep totally blanking on, and he's like, "Whoa, she's my new lantern. I don't need this crappy lantern anymore. I can just use Daisy as the symbol of my love for Daisy because I have her now." Okay, so Miniko, who did you think it was?
Okay, so first off, the green light still the green light. The fact that has been mentioned at least 3 times, rule of three, within this time period and stuff like that. I feel like it has more significance, and it wouldn't just diminish right there and now. I feel like the green light, instead of it being his love for Daisy and everything like that, it's the envy that he feels that he can't really have her because Tom has her specifically, but he might have her heart, but Tom has her legally. He can't really do anything much more than
Okay.
that per se. So he might grow envious towards that, and that's why
Okay, but
he keeps seeing the Green Lantern and
but
everything like that. And I mean, green is
can
for
I rebuttal
envy.
this?
I'm just saying.
Can I rebuttal? Because I actually feel like I
Sure.
That's
actually
what I
know what
want
I'm
to talk
talking about
after you,
here.
Titus.
Okay, that's fine. So, okay, I'm gonna read a little bit of this quote here.
Oh Lord.
Now it was again a green light on a dock. His count of enchanted objects had diminished by 1. How are you gonna say that is not him saying that it is not like having anything to do with her anymore? Like now it is just a light. Like it doesn't have
No,
any enchantment.
I feel like he might have found
Can I
out
say
what
something?
the light mean. Sorry, Nathan, you got it.
So I was just oddly enough, I think you guys are right, both of you in a sense.
No, I
But I
refuse to
find
accept that. I refuse to accept that.
but I actually found this interesting because I did some research on how to get over crushes specifically, and it says that the reason look, so this is part of my intimacy thing, so that's how I found it. But the reason why people have crushes and why we upset when they don't become fulfilled is because we look at them from a distance. But having like when we actually get to meet them, we see their flaws. That's why it's hard to fall in love because we get to see people's flaws. I think by Nick Fitzgerald sort of doing a winking nudge towards us, saying yes, he has his Daisy now, but she has flaws like any other human that he might not have been aware of. He was just holding her up to this standard, like a light in the distance. You think it's really there, but it may not even be there.
I don't know if he's realized that yet, though.
I don't know. Gatsby did not realize that at all. I'm just saying I think Fitzgerald is trying to let the reader know that, yeah, he has his Daisy, but it's like she's a human being, so she's going to have some flaws. That she's not going to be the same person he remembers before going to war. And can we check time? Because I think we went over 30.
No, we're not
No,
even close.
no.
We started at like
like
10:35, 10:36.
yeah.
Oh, okay, just making sure.
And trust me, my Google Home will yell at us as soon as it's 30 minutes.
Okay, let's go. So
Alright,
I had, well, we kind of went through both of my analysis questions because we went through the light question,
okay,
and
I
we
got another
also
one.
like
If you want?
and my romantic or obsessive. I'm talking here, no.
Fine.
And so I'm gonna go straight to my synthesis question. So I was going to say, do you think the interaction between Daisy and Gatsby in chapter 4 has to deal with the own author's real life experience with his love interest Zelda? Now, has anyone actually researched his past life or his love life and stuff like that, or no? Do I have to give background?
I'm assuming he loves someone named Zelda.
Yeah, that's what the actually name was.
I got that. Yeah, that's fantastic.
So basically, he had this woman named Zelda, and like he went off to war, and the war ended in 1918 before he was ever deployed. So
okay,
his
yeah, you don't
discharge in
keep
New York
talking.
City
I
and all that kind of stuff.
It's the same thing, right? It's like the same thing.
Yeah,
right?
I
So
find
far,
it
you're describing the same
parallel.
thing. So yeah, okay, then yes, it definitely has a correlation because they're the
Yeah.
same thing. They're the exact same story.
So I feel like, are we actually like reading this story about this man in the Enigma and all these people trying to find, I guess, the morality in each other, or see if the actions that they're doing are really good and bad, or are we just listening to his life and his criticisms throughout the 1920s in
Are you saying
and
that? Are
a
you basically
storytelling
saying that
aspect.
Fitzgerald is Gatsby?
Yes.
Because it just.
I disagree with that.
I don't know, actually, because
I
after
feel
she
like
described his love life, there's
well,
pretty.
I'm just saying that because Gatsby
I feel like he put
Fitzgerald
part
was
of
a
himself.
pessimistic. He was a famous pessimist. Like he knew what was wrong with the world, and he was pretty famous about saying that. Yeah, this ain't right. And life
I
sucks.
don't know if
So I
you
don't
can
think
say
if
that
anyone
Gatsby is.
if anyone he is Nick. Honestly, if anyone he is Nick. But I think he's Nick. His how he feels is Gatsby, but how he actually knows what the reality is Nick.
But I don't know
Yeah,
if you
Where
can
Nick,
necessarily say that he or that Gatsby isn't a pessimist. Like I
I
think
no,
an argument can be
we
made
can't.
for that.
I think he's. I don't think he's a pessimist. I think Gatsby's an optimist based on the fact that he waited for this girl for 5 years on pure hope. That if that's not optimism, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, but like look at his
Okay,
lifestyle.
wait. All right, so Gatsby might have been, I guess, somewhat optimistic in his love style. I find that more obsessive. So even with obsessiveness, you're not really optimistic. You're more so delusional. I don't find that as optimism. I still find him as a pessimist due to the fact that he only has opened up to a couple people in his life, and even then he's lying to those people. Only person that really knows about his life again is Daisy. So I feel like the fact that he really has no one that truly knows him, and he feels so misunderstood in that kind of case that only one person loves him, I feel like he's a pessimist because he
I
feels like one person
disagree.
loves
I
him.
feel like he's an optimist based on how he react, based on how Nick describes him when we first see him. That big smile that opens up to everyone, and based on how he acts when he first meets Daisy again, he acts like a child.
Yes, but remember how he was when he actually like first was going to meet Daisy. He was freaking out. Like he was losing.
That
He
doesn't
was
make him a pessimist.
pessimistic.
That just makes him nervous.
Yeah, but like he was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. Like that's a pessimist thing right there.
That's a nervous thing. Are you?
Yeah, but,
I don't.
Okay, Titus, I kind of disagree with you there a little bit.
That's a nervous thing. That's just nerves. Like after seeing someone who you fell in love with for 5 years for the first time, you're going to be nervous. But the fact he was still in love, he still thought she loved him. That's a whole kitten of itself. That the fact that he thought that she still loved him.
But that
That
goes into whether
itself is
it's optimism or delusion. Because I feel like it's delusion due to the fact that after 5 years he still held her to the highest regard and didn't think of her as human really in that case, but then found out she had flaws.
Okay, I feel like we've been on this for a really long time here.
We have.
Okay, let's try something else. All right. Okay, can I go with one here?
Sure.
Okay, so I want to talk about time. Also, one of you is echoing and is bothering the ever-living crap out of me. Okay, so what did I write down? Page 86 to 87. It is when, I think it's when Gatsby first meets, or not first meets, but first sees, the clock. He almost knocks over the clock. There's the, we haven't met for many years. It's an old clock, which I think kind of symbolizes how long it's been. Don't give me that look, Nathan. I see that look.
I'm reading the book.
It's an old clock, which I think kind of symbolizes like the time that has passed since he last saw Daisy. And then there's the whole like we haven't met for many years, blah 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 blah. And he's like 5 years next November, like perfect. Like, I think that's like is a little weird. I think like, first off, it shows how obsessive he is that he kept track of that. That's kind of weird and rather pessimistic. But I think like time, like especially like this whole thing, like a lot of time between 86 and 87. I kind of what you guys thought of that.
Yeah, I think it ties back into the theme of Gatsby trying to reconnect with his past. I mean, he went to war and he clearly was in battle, so he might be suffering from some like PTSD in the sense of he's trying to get back to a happy place in his life and this symbolism, this like theme of time is just everywhere.
I feel like as far as connecting with the theme of time, like everything shows its true form after a while and things of that nature. And also you'll see like people try to grasp after time, whether it's like grasping for the future for a happy future or grasping back to the past when they were happy and stuff like that. So you can see that with Gatsby and you can see that with other people. Like Daisy, she tried to have a happy future after she saw that she wasn't going to be with Gatsby. So she tried to move on and grasp for the future by dating Tom. Well, by marrying Tom. I said dating. Wow. But I just feel that like time is significant in all of them because they're all in different spans of life, which causes them to all have conflict in that kind of way.
I have a question. Who do you think has the biggest sense of regret in the story?
I want to say Gatsby, but I don't think
I want to say Daisy.
Yeah, I want to say
I was gonna say Daisy.
Yeah.
Daisy, like
she just regrets marrying Tom.
Yeah,
like,
now
like,
she does, and she
now she's seen Gatsby. She's like, oh crap, I done messed up. Like, oh,
even like at the wedding, like
yeah, like getting drunk when
she was like, oh, I should not marry, but she suppresses it like by a lot. Sorry, I deep off the camera a little bit, but
then again, you could even say that Nick is like really regretful because like he's putting all this time and everything into Gatsby and everything like that, and to still have him like not be truthful and like trying to like grasp for him and grasp for the real him and still not getting that, it kind of seems exhausting to him, as well as him seeing like all these people like take advantage and not know the real Gatsby and just like use him for his money and the wealth. So he might be regretful for his own society that he sees around him. In that sense, like everybody might be regretful for one person, but he's regretful for everyone.
I agree with the fact that Nick is regretful for his society, but I also think he's regretful for not seeing through Gatsby's bull. Like I thought
you were gonna finish that. I was waiting.
Yeah, well, I think like I know how it ends. I just know how it ends. I don't know if Mo, you know how it ends, but like based on the ending, I feel like Nick is regretful that he doesn't really know the true Gatsby until it's all over, till everything blows over and everything ends. And even then, he can't do anything to help him because Nick definitely admires Gatsby.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So the fact that like, oh, I'm the one with the echo. Sorry.
I hate you.
Why do you think he admires him? Like specifically, like
because like I said earlier, Gatsby is Fitzgerald's ideal self. How he like you just mentioned his relationship, how he wanted to be, but in reality, Fitzgerald is Nick. He's a pessimist. He sees the world like it is, even though, despite having an optimist in his life, who's trying to an optimist in his life, and like Gatsby, who has this unsurmountable amount of hope in the world, or at least in love, at least.
So I'm gonna argue with your whole thing. No, you're gonna stop. Okay. I'm gonna
argue. I want to say this one point. Nope. So you're basically saying that humans hold themselves to unrealistic standards. Boom. Fight me.
Okay, fine. All right. So I'm gonna argue your point on Gatsby being Fitzgerald's like ideal man. And Mo, if you don't want to know the ending to the story, sorry.
Just go.
The fact that they kill Gatsby, I feel like kind of like I feel like
that even proves it more because if Fitzgerald is Nick, he knows in this world there's no room for someone like Gatsby. There's no room for this person who believes who can believe undoubtedly in one card. There's no room for it. Like that's why Gatsby dies, because the world. Gatsby dies and no one cares. The world doesn't deserve someone like Gatsby, someone who believes so much.
I usually interpret the death of a character like that a little differently. I usually interpret it as like, you don't want to be this person because this person wound up dead. Like I feel like that's usually a pretty good like.
Usually, but I feel like in this specific story, in this like setting, the way that Fitzgerald takes the time to describe Gatsby's hope and Gatsby's hope for love and is like supposed to represent that it's too good for this world. Because mind you, the book takes place right after war. This book was written right after World War I, which was quote the worst war of the time. I mean, in this point in time, a lot of authors thought life was meaningless. Like a lot of authors were pessimists. So it's Fitzgerald is in his right when he's thinking, yeah, people like Gatsby shouldn't live.
Done!
Hey, Google, stop. Okay, so that is 30 minutes.
That's 30 minutes.
Concludes this
30 minutes.
Hello. Hope
Yes,
you
I
enjoy.
read the book this
I
time.
read the
and it
book
was
better than last week.
See, Frankenstein.
Subscribe,
It's right here.
channel.
Notice a lack of sticky notes in it. I didn't read this one.
Anyway,
No,
I'm
no.
going to end the broadcast here. All right.
I read this one. I read it.